In this video, we're going to introduce some of the problems associated with managing common pool resources. What exactly are common pool resources? Well, we're talking about a resource or an amenity that has several characteristics. The first of which is that it's open access. Anyone can get in, anyone can use it, and it's hard, very difficult, if not impossible, to stop people from using it. It has, in economic terms, what are called undefined property rights. What that means is nobody really owns it. And if nobody owns it, then there's nobody responsible for upkeep and to manage the costs. When combine those, leads to a third factor, which is the potential for overuse. If nobody owns it, you can't keep people out, nobody's going to clean it up, well then there is the potential for it to be depleted and overused. Think about the oceans and fisheries. Anybody can access it, nobody really owns it, and overfishing can be a problem, pollution could be a problem. Same goes for the atmosphere. These are common pool resources. Managing these can be difficult because there is an associated problem that is often referred to as the tragedy of the commons. Now, this is an idea that has gained popularity since the 1968 essay written by Garrett Hardin, where he describes the concept. And what he's envisioning is a situation where people are grazing cattle or sheep, as it were, in a pasture. Now, if every farmer, every shepherd, restricted their output, only put a few animals in the pasture, it would work below its carrying capacity, it would regenerate itself, and it would be available for them to use in perpetuity. However, if one or more users started to increase the number of animals grazing on it, it would start to deplete. The costs wouldn't really be borne by anyone individually, but they would affect the group. And unless there was a mechanism to do that, to sort of control entry or manage the negative costs associated with that, then it would become overused and less productive to the point where it was unusable. That's the tragedy of the commons as envisioned by Garrett Hardin. If there's no property rights, if nobody owns it, then the natural incentives will lead to overuse. Here's sort of a ridiculous visual example. Let's say we've got 3 farmers and a common grazing area that no one owns. This is a community field where farmers can choose to graze their cattle. Now, if each farmer agrees to graze 2 cattle in the field, then that will be well below the carrying capacity. It will regenerate. They will be able to use it forever. Each farmer can make a good living by grazing 2 cattle at a time. However, what is to stop one farmer from recognizing the fact that the costs are borne collectively? It would not cost that individual farmer any extra to sneak 2 extra head of cattle into the common area. He would be able to realize the benefit, in fact, doubling the profit at no extra individual cost because the cost would be borne by the entire group. This is what's called a free rider problem. One farmer is relying on everybody else to do the right thing, the mutually agreed upon thing. However, he's going to rely on the fact that they're doing that and that he will be able to skirt the rules. Free riding off the contributions of others, or in this case, it's the restraint of others. Other farmers are agreeing to restrain their output, and the individual incentives might be for a farmer to increase their own output personally, because there would be no associated costs. Now, according to the tragedy of the commons, if everyone did this, it would deplete the resource and it would no longer be usable. So just to recap, this is a general idea about managing common pool resources. It's very difficult to protect things like the water and the environment because access. It's very tough to keep people out. Ownership, there are undefined property rights. Nobody owns the atmosphere, nobody owns the oceans, and so therefore it's hard to keep people out. Nobody's accountable for the costs, and then we have the potential for overuse, whether that be overfishing or something like atmospheric pollution.